Welcome back. You're watching Your World at 10 now. Last week, the Karnataka government banned the export of iron ore in an attempt to curb illegal mining in the state, an issue that's become a national controversy. While mine owners have opposed the move, steel producers are all for it, as is the union steel minister, who indicated that other states may also be asked to follow suit.
It is a good step, but it will only have local effect. And we have to think in terms of the entire country, and the government of India is seized of it.
Well, that was Steel Minister Veerbhadra Singh commenting on the Karnataka ban and saying maybe it should become a national ban. To weigh in on that debate, we're joined by R.K. Sharma, the Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Mineral Industries. That is the body that represents iron ore exporters, the ones that are hurting due to this Karnataka ban. And S.K. Rungta, who recently retired as the chairman of SAIL, India's largest steel manufacturer. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Mr. Sharma, if I could come to you very quickly for a quick assessment of the impact of the Karnataka ban and what it means for iron ore exporters, especially of that region.
Yeah, ma'am, the question is that the illegal miners don't require any permit or sanction from the government to mine illegally, and they also don't require any permit to move the ore illegally mined from the area from which they are mining. No illegal mining can take place without the active connivance of politicians and bureaucrats, and therefore this ban will only hurt the legal miners, not the illegal miners. Second thing, now you are penalizing the legal miners for the wrongdoing of the illegal miners, being done in collaboration with politicians and bureaucrats. Now you are trampling my fundamental right to do business legitimately under Article 19 of the Constitution.
Mr. Sharma, can you quantify the impact of the ban? Because I've got all kinds of data here in front of me saying 1 million tons of iron ore is lying idle. There's been roughly a loss of 300 crores of foreign exchange. So if you could give us maybe one or two sets of numbers, that gives us a sense of how much the iron ore industry is hurting because of this Karnataka ban.
Karnataka produces about 45 million tons of iron ore per year. 15 million tons is used in the domestic market in steel plants and the sponge iron making. What is being exported is almost 95 to 98% as fines, which is not required in the country. And in terms of, and we are exporting about 30 million tons per year. That means about 2.5 million tons per month on an average. So
what percentage is this of the national export of iron ore? Karnataka contributes how much to the national export of iron ore?
We export about 106 million tons. Out of that, around 30 million tons is from Karnataka, 53 million tons from Goa, balance from eastern sector. That is the broad spectrum.
Okay, so clearly I get the points you're making. I get the points you're making that the legal industry is hurting, whereas this has no impact on the illegal industry, which is the first reason for why this ban came into place. Mr. Rungta, where do you stand on this debate on whether there should be a ban on iron ore exports or not? Why just Karnataka? It seems the steel minister has indicated that maybe the government might consider making this a nationwide ban.
Yeah, actually export of iron ore should be considered in the national context, and the debate has been going on almost for the last 5-6 years, ever since China became a big importer of iron ore. Now question is that Indian steel industry is growing at a rapid pace, both in terms of production and its consumption in the country. And it being a finite resource, we have to conserve this resource. Now, question is whether ban should come abruptly, which can cause pain for the miners, or it should be planned in a systematic manner. I suppose there is a need that it should be planned in a systematic manner where we taper off the exports and eventually exports are brought down to the bare minimum.
Mr. Rungta, how do you explain the numbers that Mr. Sharma laid out, saying at least in the Karnataka region, of the 45 million tons per annum of iron ore produced, only 15 is consumed locally or domestically and the rest of it is exported. Does that mean that currently the local demand for iron ore doesn't match up to the kind of capacity we have and therefore exports is a necessity?
No, of course, local demand doesn't match up to the extent we are mining. But the question is that we can mine less. It is not necessary that we mine 45 million tons. So certainly, yes, local demand is being met fully by the iron ore which we are mining within the country. There is hardly any import of iron ore in the country. But question is whether we should really go on mining and exporting, or we should reserve or conserve this resource for the future.
Where do you stand on this, Mr. Sharma? Do you believe that many steel producers do believe there's cause for a nationwide ban? The ban was welcomed by JSW Steel, which also has a large plant in the Karnataka region. Do you think that it will help India achieve its steel production targets, which are pretty ambitious for this year? Let me tell you, about 140 million tons per annum is what the ministry has targeted this year by enforcing a nationwide ban on exports.
Well, let me tell you, the ministry living in a dream world. This year we produce about 64.5 million tons of steel. Last year we produced 64.5 million tons of steel. You can't make it 140 during this financial year. The steel ministry lives in a dream world so far. It has been living in a dream world so far. Now, coming back to Mr. Rungta's point, there is not one mine owner. There are 100 mine owners in Bellary Hospital. Whom will you ask to close down the mining operations? Iron ore mining did not have any outlet till the China came into being. No new mine has been opened. They are all mines which were closed down or working at the minimum operational level. The point is, let me emphasize one thing, the miners are not interested in export. If domestic demand increases, we would like to first sell in the domestic market. Iron ore miners, like any other industry, would like the best price for this product. Like Mr. Rungta would like the best price for his steel. I would also like the best price for my iron ore. Now, if every new plant or the existing plant has been granted a captive mines, where do I sell my ore?
It's a valid point, Mr. Rungta. How would you respond to that? Because in fact, I'm told India has this year slipped from being the position of the third largest steel manufacturer in the world to the fifth largest steel manufacturer in the world. Mr. Sharma says the steel ministry's targets are rather ambitious. What if the iron ore is not being consumed domestically? Then don't you think that iron ore exporters have a valid case for export?
First of all, I don't think so. Anybody has set a target of 140 million tons of production for this year. As Mr. Sharma said, last year production was little over 60 million tons.
Right.
It can at best go up by 10-12% this year, and it can touch 70 million tons. There is no way it is going to reach 140 million tons this year or even in the next 2-3 years. In fact, Ministry is talking of a production capacity of 110 million tons by 2012-13.
But the point is that we already have enough iron ore available
I'm coming to the point. Sure. It is again not my point, or I suppose no steel producer is saying that abruptly all mines should be closed which are engaged in export. But we have to think of ways to conserve this iron ore for our future domestic use, because ultimately we don't want to come to a stage where this is one input which makes our industry cost effective. We have to import at a future date to meet our domestic needs. And here there can be a gradual reduction of export. That is what I suppose industry has been asking, that there should not be rampant exports, conserving, and we should conserve the resources. Now, one way can be that, there can be certain restriction on export for the individual miners, that certain percentage of their production only is allowed to be exported. For the merchant miners, maybe to begin with, it can be said that, okay, nobody will export more than 50% of their production. Balance 50%, let them try and sell in the domestic market.
But what if there's no domestic demand?
Domestic market to that extent.
Mr.
If there is no
what if there's
domestic market to that extent. Yeah, I'm making that point.
Sure.
If there is no adequate domestic market to that extent, they can always take out less from the. So, question is whether countries should conserve the resource which is finite. It is not, it is not a renewable resource.
All right. So it's a fair point you make, and I think if you add to that all the concerns regarding the environment, regarding people displacement, and of course illegal mining, Mr. Sharma, the ball comes back into your court. Do you think that your industry will eventually agree to a phased sort of ban on iron ore exports, so to speak, and of course a lot more regulation of the mining industry, which has also been suggested by putting up a mines regulatory body? I think a bill which is about to be presented in this monsoon session of Parliament, if Parliament gets down to work.
Yeah. See, first question is, there is no large-scale rehabilitation and resettlement for for the people in the area, because these are the mines which are in existence for the last 60, 70 years. That is one thing.
Okay.
Whatever production has come is from the existing mines. No new mine has been opened in the country in the last 20 years.
Gentlemen, we are entirely out of time, but thank you very much for offering both your perspectives on this issue. Maybe the need of the hour is a better articulated value-added policy for the steel industry in this country, and one that's built over the next 5 years as opposed to an overnight ban solution to illegal mining. Mr. Sharma, Mr. Rungta, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us on Your World.